Hi there, guys. It is Tom Bell here. And today, as you can see, I am not at the desk today. I'm on my sofa and I'm here to interview one of my recent students. Now, this is a student who's taken the Native Ads Masterclass, and I've had the pleasure to work with one-on-one recently, and he's been having some excellent results. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him. It's been a pleasure to get to know him recently, and he's going to have a little chat to you about his results and what he's been doing online. So I can see he's ready in the waiting room now. So let's go in and have a chat. Hey, Jack.
Hey, Tom. Hey.
Good to see you. How's life over there in the US?
Good. Spring starting, so
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, we're finally getting some good weather here, so I'm looking forward to getting out a bit more rather than being cooped up from post lockdown.
Yeah.
Good. So, well, obviously, thanks very much for doing the call. I know everyone at home is going to find this really useful. Obviously, as we've talked about, you've been in the game a little while now, over 10 years, and what I'm quite interested to hear about as well is kind of your transition from, starting in the affiliate business and then kind of moving into native. So you've taken the Native Ads Masterclass, you've had some really good results. Obviously, we've just started working together one-on-one. I know we've only done one coaching session officially so far, but it feels like I've known you much longer, obviously. So let's have a chat about how you first got started in the business and how you eventually kind of came to native.
Sure. I was really interested in paid traffic and affiliate marketing. Just that paid traffic is, it's faster, and I'm a kind of a logical guy, so I like to play with the numbers. So, and I started affiliate marketing because I wanted to be my own boss, and I wanted to control my schedule and kind of wanted to control my destiny. So,
yeah, definitely the freedom side of things for me as well. I kind of, if there was a way to make like an extra few hundred a day on the side, and that's obviously quite a lucrative, attractive thing for most people, and and obviously for both of us, it ended up blowing up to much more than that. So yeah, very grateful for that. So obviously you're doing over 6 figures a year in your agency. You're doing all kinds of traffic sources. What are you kind of up to at the moment? Obviously you're doing native with me, but is there anything else that you're doing?
So in my affiliate journey, I tested a bunch of different sources, Facebook, Google Ads, Plenty of Fish, some of the smaller ones.
Nice.
And I settled on native after going through a lot of them, and now we're only doing native. So I like in a way it's a little more simpler. I feel like there's less competition than in other Facebook or Google.
Sure.
I think there's a lot more affiliates there. And the other thing I like about native is the scale. When you find something that works, you could open it up, as opposed to some of these smaller traffic sources.
Sure. And how did you find like sustainability between something like Facebook and native? Would you say native is more sustainable or less sustainable?
About the same.
Yeah.
I don't have a good comparison, but I jumped ship from Facebook pretty early.
Right. Okay. And I know things have been complicated recently, obviously, with all the iOS updates. And the goal of this chat is not to say don't do Facebook. Right. Obviously, it's a great place to run ads, but I think a lot of people were getting kind of frustrated with all the shutdowns. And I know I got a lot of people into my course that were kind of messaging me and saying, I'm just tired of being shut down. I'm interested in native. Is it a better way to run ads? And in my opinion, I suppose it would be more sustainable from that front. Obviously, it's massive reach on Facebook, and it's good reach on native too, of course. But yeah, it's a great way to run ads and not have to worry constantly about the ad accounts going down and compliance side of things, really. So obviously, I know we've got a campaign planned that we're going to show people. So it's really good of you to do this, by the way, Jack, because I know a lot of people wouldn't want to kind of open their account up to other people seeing inside. So we're really going to, we're lucky to get that kind of inside of you today. So I will let you share your screen. I've just enabled that my side, and we will have a look at what's been going on. And I know this is just one campaign out of many that you're running. So yeah, we're lucky to have it still. It's good to see something.
Yeah. So this one, I'll mention the vertical.
Please, whatever you're willing to share, we're happy to work with. Yeah.
So this one is diabetes, and I think it's really important for anyone who's going to be running native to know which verticals can work and which verticals can't.
Absolutely.
Because even on the SPY tools, there's a lot of people trying different things that right away I could tell that it's not going to work.
Yes.
And so that is a critical thing, because us including when we started native, we invested a lot of time and money in verticals that just didn't really have a chance right away, and now after going over the course, we kind of know right, so that is a very critical, I think.
Yeah, aligning that offer with the traffic source, and obviously the more campaigns you run, the more clear that becomes, and when you can tap into pre-existing data that you've collected, I mean, we won't say exactly where we are at the moment, obviously for obvious reasons, but this particular network you're in, the demographic is older. It's quite an impulsive kind of demographic as well, I'd say. So it's, it's a good fit for obviously the type of niche that you're running here. So yeah, here we go. So lots of great creatives there I can see. Now I'm loving that ROI. So 113%, that's fantastic, and already up to over $3,500 as well. So very, very nice. Now I'm looking at that win rate there at 44%, and we could go even high with that. So I think there's even more kind of scale available there in terms of the reach of the campaign. Naturally, that ROI is probably going to come down a little bit, obviously, when we expand the reach and obviously paying a bit more for the traffic. But obviously, some really good stuff there. Really nice, strong return on investment. I love that creative at the top, the pop that's in the pan. I love that. Yeah, I mean that's actually a great example, because if someone was to go on a SPY tool now, like Anstrex or Amplexity, we see that a lot, don't we? The boiling in the pan, that kind of angle. But I actually haven't really seen anyone. I don't even know what that is in there, Jack. It looks like some kind of kiwi, or do you know what it is?
I don't know. Peppers?
Yeah,
no.
Very alluring kind of bright colors, but they can work really well. So actually finding an angle that's already working, and then creating your own variations around that angle. That's a really powerful way to target, because we can tap into those trends that are already converting well. So yeah, very nice. So your average ICTR is 0.33%, which is strong, but what's more important is that CPV. So what we're actually paying to get someone to that landing page. And we can see there we've got a CPV of, wow, I mean that's low, isn't it? So if we compare that to something like Facebook, in the diabetes niche especially, and in those nutrient niches, we'd probably be looking at over $1 potentially. So you're looking at like a 5-time lower cost there. So, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why you've been able to make this so profitable, is because you've been able to drive that CPV so low. And there is particular techniques, isn't there, in terms of like creating your images and your advertising copy, and driving that ICTR really high. So obviously I could talk about this all day. Do you have a couple of tips for maybe people at home where they're trying to increase that click-through rate of the image?
Well,
without giving away too much in the course, obviously. No, I'm only joking.
Sure. Definitely have to study what other people are running successfully, and then take a look at trying to think about why it's running successfully.
Right.
But the truth is that before I took the course, most of my top creatives were actually from things that I grabbed from Anstrex.
Right.
So my new creatives were not beating the top performing creatives that everyone's already seen.
Yes.
So and we didn't really have a way to test and figure out what are good creatives. So it was kind of like a lot of blind testing. Sometimes something worked out, but a lot of the times it wasn't. But in the course, you have a very descriptive way of figuring out what to look for, how to put it together, what works, what doesn't, and that's kind of been So since I've taken the course, we spent a lot more time trying to increase the ICTR even more.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. And let's have a look at your landing page CTR as well. So we can already see that the click-through rate is good. I know normally we talk about kind of 1% as being that holy grail almost. Now, that just really isn't possible on, a lot of traffic sources. It's more about what you're paying to get that user to the landing page. And in the same way you'd approach the CPC in Facebook, for example. So if we just scroll across, Jack, I'm just quite interested.
I was actually running on a different tracker, so it's not tracking the.
Oh, right. Okay. No worries.
Yeah. I tell you what, it was probably 45%.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm not going to reveal the network that you're on doing this, obviously, but that's quite high, I would say, for that network as well. So like 35%, I would consider quite strong on there. So yeah, great stuff. And clearly there's some really good stuff going on at that lander level, and you were really getting people into that micro commitment and attracting the curiosity. So great stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, absolutely love it. And I can see there, if you just scroll down, mm-hmm. And are we filtered by profit there, Jack? Can you just filter those images by profit for me? Because what I want to show people is just how differently different images will convert.
Yes.
And, that's a really good talking point, because I know a lot of people that start off, they just don't split test aggressively enough. Do they? Mm-hmm. And you've probably seen that. Maybe you even did that to start with as well. But people will just put in 5 images and then wonder why it doesn't work. But if you can see Jack's kind of top image there, he's made $1,300 in profit with an ROI of 186% relatively quickly, 19 conversions. And then if you scroll down, Jack, to the bottom, we can see some of those other images were actually very good creatives, but they just haven't had sales at all, really, or they're negative. And there would have really been no way to forecast that before starting the campaign, would there? I've been doing this for ages. You've been doing it for ages. I think we could actually predict between us, okay, this image is going to be the winner. You could collect maybe 10 and say probably one of these 10 is going to be the winner. But I think to select the actual one, it's impossible, isn't it? And the media buyers that understand that principle, they'll test the most aggressively because they understand that principle. It's not, we're aware of what we don't know, that's the thing. So I think for you guys kind of listening to this at home, you should really take that to heart, and you should be really split testing, aggressively right from the start of the campaign, just like you have here. So great stuff. Very good stuff. Okay.
What I like about native, just one point, speaking to what you were saying, is the networks, they don't punish you if you try to test aggressively, like Facebook or somebody else. They don't ban your account because they don't just block every ad because one ad was banned.
Not to interrupt you, Jack, but yeah, I get that a lot, actually. People ask it because they've been so used to being banned on Facebook, they just assume like that would be the case everywhere else. So yeah.
Yeah, no bans.
No. The worst you can get is an image getting rejected from the campaign, but that doesn't correlate to like an account going down or anything like that. They'll just send you a note saying, we can't run this. Please upload like a more compliant creative, and that should give you a reason why it was rejected as well. So obviously you can just make the change, and compliance is a thing on native. A lot of people think there's absolutely no rules whatsoever. Obviously that's not true, that you can't just run anything. But overall, it's a much more relaxed way of media buying, isn't it, compared to like a Facebook or a Google, for sure.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So thanks so much for sharing that one. Now, what we said we were going to do as well is share a campaign that's kind of in the process.
Okay.
So thanks and it was actually Jack that prompted me to do that. I thought that was really, really good idea. So a lot of people, they always want to see like the end result, and I can understand that guys obviously want to see a kind of completed thing, but that's not how it's going to look right at the start. There's going to be some work that goes on in order to achieve that profitability. So I think this is actually a more valuable thing to look at perhaps than something that's already kind of working really well, because we can kind of talk about the process here. So you filtered that by an overall, which is great. Okay, so we've spent 5,991 and we are at a revenue of 5,534. So it's so close. It really is close to profit. And as we can see there, I mean, volume just makes it really easy to see these things. We can see all of that green. So we can see there's profitability in the campaign, and you're just in the process of basically, optimizing and filtering those creatives down that aren't profitable, and keeping the factors in the campaign that are, both at the the creative level, the lander level. Obviously, we're just targeting one offer, so nothing's changing there. So I know I've been working on this with you a little bit, obviously, and we've been chatting about this. So just for people at home, whereabouts is this at the moment, and what's gone in to kind of get this to this point?
So this, I don't want to reveal what the vertical
no,
is,
of course, yeah.
But this was pretty well researched vertical, and also kind of going from the things that I learned from the course, we were able to pinpoint that this vertical has a huge amount of potential, and it has huge scalability, and it's one of these things, verticals, that would be approved on all of the native traffic sources. So we are optimistic and thinking kind of big about this. And in this campaign in particular, I'm not trying to scale it and make a ton of money as much as I'm actually using it to test lots of creatives. So we could put it on even bigger traffic sources. So that's why some of these profitable creatives I actually paused for now. I'll probably resume them in the future again, but just this is like the fourth batch of creatives that we're testing on this traffic source.
And you've been very aggressive with batch uploading those as well, which is great.
And that's something that I learned on the course. And then the other critical thing that I learned was how to make good pictures. Because before the way that you and David put it together, there's a simple way to make awesome pictures, and they take me less than 10 minutes each. So
and that's the sort of thing that can be outsourced as well. Because I think that kind of intimidates people sometimes, where they feel, I've got to get all these images together, and there's a little bit of work that goes in. And I always think before you outsource something, you should always be able to do it yourself anyway, because you can properly train that person to execute properly. So I think it's good that you've been doing it all. I imagine now you've probably got other people where you kind of outsource that. Same with the landers, of course, But I'm glad you kind of went through that process to start with, where you did it all yourself. And there's a lot that goes into. I know we keep talking about the images, guys, but there's a lot that does go into this. And just being able to, I mean, for myself now, if I was to kind of look at a spy tool, I could almost call my thought process out loud as I'm looking through the different images. We see a lot of people using like those stock kind of images. And those kind of images are images that are present on pretty much all websites, so they don't really stand out. They're the kind of images a big company might use on like an article on the page. But we as affiliates, we almost need to show like this miracle, or this one weird trick within the image that initiates that curiosity to drive our ICTR nice and high. And you've done a really good job of that. And I can see there, you've got a mixture. You've got some images that are kind of just the image themselves. You've got some split screens, ones that tell more of a story, ones that have lots of color, they're very vivid, and they really kind of pop off the page. And what about the copy, Jack, in terms of some tips for other affiliates? Because I think that's one of the things where people actually really kind of struggle with that sometimes. It's not the sort of thing we're really taught in school either, is it? How to write really good, convincing. No. I mean, it should be. I don't know why it isn't, but it's such an important skill. But so few people kind of have that. I think the difference with, I'll let you answer, by the way. I'm not going to. I'm just going to answer for you if I'm not careful. But compared to something like Facebook, where we've got the opportunity to have a much longer copy, obviously on native we've got a much kind of smaller area to advertise in, haven't we? Maybe up to 60 characters. What would you say is important for you in your copy, given that you've got such a small window of opportunity there?
Every word has to count, and then what I learned in the course, if you don't mind revealing, is that it's all about the emotions that all the words convey.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then
yeah, and we can go more aggressive as well on native than we can Facebook. Which is kind of a breath of fresh air to some extent. Yeah, a lot of those ones I could see there, we would just never be able to get that through on Facebook, obviously. And I think as well, it's got to be very benefit orientated. I think that's a really important thing. You know, a lot of people, I find the headlines are quite vague. You know, you have to be aggressive on native because we only have a small window to work with in terms of the text that's available, don't we? We don't have a big long copy like Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah. Great. So what's the next step with this?
What's the next step?
Yeah.
More testing.
Yeah. More testing. And there's already pockets of profitability within this particular campaign. Another thing to talk about as well is actually how differently landers can convert.
Yes.
And obviously we talk a lot about the images. That's our direct contact with the traffic. But landers, I mean, it's something that, again, I think people just set up one, maybe even two. I mean, if I'm spending a lot of money on a campaign, sometimes I'll test, 6 to 8, on some occasions. And even by just changing a few small things on that landing page, perhaps it's the headline or the image, that can make a radical difference to conversion rates, can't it?
Yes.
Seen time and time again. So that's something that's really important to remember, guys, as well. Awesome. Okay. So I think that's it for that particular campaign, Jack. So I will let you turn your screen off.
Sure. Yeah.
And we will have a chat to finish. Oh, I think this is super useful. This call was developed in a way that I didn't kind of foresee initially, so which is great. So, what advice would you have for a student getting started? Perhaps they're on the fence a little bit. They're not sure about the industry. They really want to make some money online. What would you advise them, and how would you best advise them to get started? Yeah, it's a big one. So, do you want me to start off? I'd say you've literally just got to take the plunge and invest in your success, and view this as like a long-term thing as well. So, don't go in thinking, okay, well, the very first thing that I'm going to do is going to make me $1 million, because it's not, is it? We're not these kind of people that try and promise the earth and under deliver. It's just not the case. It's a business that you have to spend time investing in your knowledge, and also in kind of the data of the campaign, and good things happen, don't they? Once you do that, once you test aggressively and you start launching multiple campaigns, that's where the magic is.
Yeah, and then when you start running profitably, you could just
it's exciting.
Everything turns different, and you're in a good cycle.
Yeah,
what the word is, but
absolutely. So, do you need to spend $100,000 to get started in native ads? No.
Well, if without any course, maybe, but to me, I wish this course was available earlier when I started. Of course.
Oh, well, it's very good of you to say. Thank you.
I did take a mastermind course a couple of years ago, but this one, yours is more thorough. And then also the items that I described, how you and David talk about putting the funnels together, and what you look for in creatives and ads is really critical to success, especially since prices keep going up on native, and it's getting more and more competitive over the years. And there's
any traffic source really, it's just inflation. I was having a laugh with someone the other day saying about like a box of like we get the Miniature Hero chocolates over here, and do you have that over there?
Miniature.
You have Cadbury chocolate?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you learned something.
I don't know about.
I have to send you a box, Jack.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it probably cost me a fortune for the shipping, given how like prices are going up and everything. But yeah, that's just a funny way to explain inflation to a kid, just showing them a box of Miniature Heroes from about 10 years ago. But yeah, anyway, not really relevant for this. But but yeah, of course, costs going up all the time. Yeah. Any way, obviously, we can maximize profit. There are techniques, obviously, to do that with, for sure. Yeah.
And speaking of which, I think in all of these traffic sources, you kind of have to. It's a competition to be, at the top or the front of the race. So you have to have as good of a funnel, as good of a product as possible. So
absolutely.
yeah, that's why it's important to know what is the
sure
right way to
yeah,
put it
and
together.
also just not being wasteful around the traffic. Like we talk about like traffic redirection in the course as well, and just squeezing everything from that one click. Whether that's some kind of exit pop or not, but it's so important to do that. And that's something we really really believe in, just as a life principle as well. And these principles that we talk about, they're universal, aren't they, across any traffic source really. If it's Facebook ads you're doing, the ideas behind the creative, it's all transferable. You might have to tweak it per traffic source, obviously, in the just copy and that kind of thing. But they're really kind of universal principles, really. So yeah. And Jack, I just want to say as well, it's been a pleasure to get to know you over the last few weeks, and you're a great guy, and obviously really appreciate you coming on here and doing this today.
So I appreciate working with you, and I'm looking forward every time I talk to you. So
yeah, I'm enjoying the coaching calls. Yeah, I'm not just saying that for the video. I genuinely enjoy doing it, and obviously you go ahead and put the work in. So that's all I can ask really. So awesome.
Cool.
Okay, well, I will end the call there, and thank you very much for your time, and I will see you in our next coaching call.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Thanks.
No worries. Okay.
Have a good one.